Let us start once again from the beginning. We are wasting our time. Say, in this particular problem, what is given here? A refrigerating machine using this R12 as the refrigerant operates between the high pressure 2.5, low pressure 2.5 bar and high pressure 9 bar. That corresponding temperature is given as 36 degrees centigrade for high temperature and minus 7 degrees centigrade for low temperature itself. The compression is isentropic. What is given? Compression is isentropic. There is no intercooling in the condenser itself. So compression is there is no heat transfer, energy transfer will take place. There is no heat transfer will take place. There is no entropic change in the compression line, but that is at the same time there is no undercooling in the condenser. Means condenser also, for after the end of condensation, full refrigerant is fully saturated, became fully saturated liquid refrigerant, and no undercooling or no vapor of refrigerant is present there. Now, vapor is in dry saturated condition at the beginning of the compressor itself. This condition means at the starting point 1 is on the dry saturated line. So it is after the full compression process takes place, it saves outlet pressure and the compressor will be on the superheated region itself. So we have to assume that estimate the theoretical COP as well as, and if the actual efficiency is performed by 0.65 of the theoretical value, calculate the net cooling required produced per hour. The refrigerant flow is 5 kg per minute, and properties of refrigerants are given below. What is the properties given here? The T2 dash, what is shown here in this TS, this is TS diagram as well as pH diagram, and T1, stage number 1 is at the beginning of the compression itself, and which is on the dry saturated line as per the problem given. From 1 to 2, it is the compression process. So as stage 1 is started in the dry saturated line, and 1 to 2 is isentropic compression. So the entropy takes place from 1 to 2. There is no entropy change. So entropy at 1 will be at entropy at 2, and entropy and stage number 2 is finished in superheated region. This is the superheated region. At stage number 2, then as it is released from the as the vapor is released from superheated region, it is to be cooled to the point 2, which is at the maximum temperature of the fluid, and at point 2 it is on the dry saturated line, and that from there it is condensed from 2 to 3, and 3 is the wet saturated line, from 3 to 4, and 4 to 1. 3 to 4 is the expansion, and 4 to 1 is the evaporator itself. So let us find out what is given and what is relevant to our problem. So temperature T2, the maximum temperature from T2 is equal to T3 is equal to T2 dash is equal to given as 36 degrees centigrade, which is equal to 309 degree Kelvin itself. T1 is equal to T4 and is equal to minus 7 degrees centigrade. T1 is equal to T4 minus 7 degrees centigrade plus 273. So that is 266 degree Kelvin. COP is equal to 0.65 COP, and mass is equal to 5 kg per minute. So HF3 is equal to HF4 as it is on the in the enthalpy chart. HF3 is equal to HF4. HF3 is on the liquid, which is the on the liquid saturated line or wet saturated line, and it is given as the enthalpy. It is given as the enthalpy of the liquid at the temperature at high temperature 36 degrees centigrade, which means this will be equal to 70.55 degree Kelvin. And HF1 and HF1 is equal to HF4, means HF1 when fluid at enthalpy of the fluid at temperature minus 7 degrees centigrade, and which is given as 39.62 degree Kelvin, and that is also equal to HF4, is the enthalpy of the fluid at the point 4 itself, and which both are equal to 29.62 Kelvin, and H2 dash is the enthalpy of the and H2 dash is the enthalpy of the superheated vapor at high temperature, which is here. So, and which is here. So that is equal to enthalpy of the vapor at high temperature, that is 201.8 degrees Kelvin itself. And H1, which is on the high temperature, which is on the dry saturated vapor line, and which is at temperature minus 7 degrees Celsius. So H1 will be 184.5 degrees centigrade itself. And S2 dash, which is S2 dash, and S2 dash is given as H1 dash. H1 dash just I've told you 184, okay, and S2 dash is given as the entropy at point 2, which means entropy at the temperature 9 and when or dry saturated vapor, that is equal to 0.6836 here, and kilojoule per kg degree Kelvin. S1 is given equal to S2 as it is isentropic line and equal to 0.7001 kilojoule per kg, and Cp is also given as 0.64. Cp is here is the superheated vapor at 9 bar is given as 0.64 kilojoule per kg. Next is now let us first of all find the temperature of the entropy at the point 2. So we have to find out what is the temperature T2. We know T2 dash, we know T1, but we don't know what is the superheated temperature T2. So we know that sample from the relations of the entropy itself, S2 dash entropy at the point 2 is equal to S2 dash. S2, the entropy at the point 2 is equal to S2 dash entropy at the point 2 dash plus 2.3 into Cp. It is the specific heat of superheated vapor, superheated refrigerant vapor, multiplied by log T2 by T2 divided by T2 dash. So you put the value of T2, which is given as equal to 0.7001, and T2 dash, which is equal to 0.6836 plus 2.3 into 10 to the power 0.64 log, and T2 dash is given as 309, but T2 is unknown to us. So after making put all the known factors, and after simplifying, it will become log T2 divided by 301 is equal to 0.0112, and T2 divided by 309 is equal to 0.0015.2, and this becomes so T2 divided by 301, and taking the anti-logarithm of 1 or e to the power 0.0112. So T2 divided by 301 is equal to 1.026. T2 into 1.026 multiplied by 309 is equal to 3.17 kilocalorie. Now, as we got to we know calculated both T2 and T1, T2 dash and T2, we know, and we know H2 and H2 dash itself. So what we do, what will be the H2? H2 is unknown to us. H2 dash is given. So we put the value H2 dash plus CP is 0.04 and T2, which is 317 just calculated, and minus T2 dash, which is 309. So S2 will be 206.9 degree Kelvin, 206.92 kilojoule per kg. So what we have got, the theoretical coefficient of performance. Theoretical coefficient of performance, we know H1 is the enthalpy at the entrance of the compressor, and it is the enthalpy at the outlet of the evaporator minus enthalpy at the inlet of the evaporator divided by H2, enthalpy at the outlet of the compressor divided by minus H1, enthalpy at the inlet of the compressor itself. So if you put the respective value, we'll get CPU theoretical as 5.11. Now, net cooling produced per hour, we have to find out. So what is that? We know that actual COP of the machine, COP actual, is given is 65% of the theoretical COP. Theoretical COP we have calculated as 5.1, which is multiplied as 0.65. So actual COP will become 3.315. And actual work done is given by W actual H2 minus H1, means enthalpy at the outlet of the compressor minus enthalpy at the inlet of the compressor, which is both we have calculated. So H2 20692 minus H1 184.5 is equal to 22.42 kilojoule per kg itself. So W actual or the work actual is 22.42 kilojoule per kg. We know that the net cooling or refrigerating effect has produced per kg of refrigerant. How we'll find out the actual what we are supposed to done multiplied by the actual COP. We have first calculated by using the refrigerating effect, and we have calculated the theoretical COP, and theoretical COP after the multiplication of the percentage given will become actual COP. So if we multiply the actual COP with the work done, which will be given as the refrigerant or net cooling effect, it actually which is expressed, that is for 22.42 and multiplied by 3.315, 74.5 degree Kelvin. That's why what is a theoretical COP is the first respiratory effect, that is H1 minus H4 or HF3 divided by the output, the amount of work done, H2 minus H1. First, we have put the theoretical COP by calculating H2 and H1 from the given chart, and HF3 from the given chart. We calculated theoretical COP. Then theoretical actual COP is multiplied, will be equal to theoretical COP multiplied by the percentage, that is 0.65. So actual COP we reached, if we put the value of actual COP, this is equal to actual COP. And we know H2 minus H1, and if we multiply this difference with actual COP, we'll get the actual H1 minus H3 or actual refrigerating effect, that is 74.3 kilojoule per kg itself. Now, so net cooling power effect per hour, so per kg kilojoule, 74.3 kilojoule per kg refrigerant, per kg of refrigerant we can produce here. And the flow of refrigerant is given as m 5 kg per minute. So if we multiply this flow rate with the net cooling effect, we'll get 371.5 kilojoule per minute, which is given us the net cooling per hour itself. And what is the tonnage? Net cooling power divided by 210, we know. Then this becomes 1.77 ton TR itself. Now let us go to the next problem. We have lost a lot of time due to this network issue. A simple refrigerant saturation cycle using R12 is designed for taking a load of 10 tons itself. The refrigerator and ambient temperature are minus 60 degrees. So what is given? Saturation cycle using R12 refrigerator for taking a total load, total refrigerating load is equal to 10 ton, which is given. The refrigerant and ambient temperature are minus degree centigrade and 30 degrees centigrade respectively. So we are saying that refrigerant is working as minus 0 degrees centigrade. So lower temperature is minus only 0 degrees centigrade, and ambient temperature from which is being compressed here is 30 degrees centigrade respectively. The minimum temperature difference is 5 degrees required in the evaporator and condenser for heat transfer itself. So what this means is at least 5 degrees centigrade is required for the condenser to release its heat to the atmosphere, which means the temperature which is a condenser which is working in isothermal process should operate at a temperature which is 5 degrees centigrade higher than the ambient temperature. So ambient temperature is given as 30 degree in the highest level. So condenser temperature should be around 35 degrees centigrade. And for the evaporator, that's the same condition applies. The difference between the evaporator will be from the ambient will be at least 5 degrees less, so that it can evaporate to the surroundings. So if the evaporator refrigerant temperature is 5 degrees centigrade, so this function will operate, this cycle will operate with minus 5 degrees centigrade at the lower side itself. So let us find mass flow through the system. Power required in kilowatt means what is the power generated absorbed by the compressor, and COP itself, and force cylinder dimension means L by D is equal to 22 for single cylinder, single acting compressor. So compressor set in the diameter we have to calculate. It runs at 300 RPM and volumetric efficiency of 90%. So what is given here? 200 metric ton. What is the required capacity? What is the required load? Means what is the required refrigerating effect, which is given as 10 ton. 10 into 210 means 1 ton is equal to 210 kilojoule per minute. So if you multiply 10 by 210, we'll get the refrigerating effect as 2100 kilojoule per minute. Since what is next question? Minimum temperature difference of 5 is required in the evaporator and the coolant on the condenser. So evaporator temperature will be T1 is equal to T5, 0 minus 5 degrees centigrade, just I've told you, which is equal to 268.8 kilojoule. And the condenser temperature is T2,